Welcome back to War of the Ring. We have Gondor being attacked now by the forces of Sauron. We have the elves in Lorien still besieged. We have Saruman with his huge army massed on the borders of Rohan. We also do still have, mentioned it in a while, Threats and Promises is still in play. And the reason is, it says you must discard this card from the table as soon as the Free People's Nation advances on a political track, either due to an attack or due to a companion's special ability. Strangely enough, that hasn't happened. The elves went to war by that not happening, and same with Gondor. We played an event card that got them at war. So even though we've been attacking the elves and Gondor with the Sauron units, it has not gotten rid of Threats and Promises. And Threats and Promises means you cannot move a faction or a nation down the political track if they are in passive state. And right now, the Men of the North and the Dwarves are still in the passive state, which means we can't advance them on the political track unless they get attacked by Sauron units, which hasn't happened. Okay, we are going to be continuing on. We have 2 dice for the Free Peoples, 3 dice for the Shadow player left to play for the end of this turn. Let's take a look at our Free People's dice and decide which one we want to play and what we want to do with it. Alright, the Free Peoples only have a character die and a muster army die remaining. We are going to muster. We're going to muster, and that's the die we're going to use. All right, let's get to the board and muster units. We can either muster for the elves or the Men of Gondor. They're both at war. I think we're still going to be mustering for the Men of Gondor. All right, so for the Men of Gondor, we are going to recruit 1 leader and 1 regular unit in 2 separate locations. The regular unit we are going to put in Minas Tirith, which takes them now to 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 units, 2 elite. 2 elite units, 8 regulars, and 1 leader, which is awesome for the Free Peoples. And we are going to put 1 leader in Dol Amroth, which is also another fortified city. Now we have 4 regulars and a leader there to try and hold back the tide of the Southern army coming up from the south there. Okay, now we are back to the Shadow player, who's got 3 dice. Oh, I don't know what he's going to do, but I'm sure it's not going to be pleasant. The Shadow player has 3 dice remaining. They are going to spend 1 of their muster army. Well, I guess they go this way. I got them upside down. Their muster army dice. They're going to move 2 armies, and you're like, what? But that's what they're going to do. So let's find out which 2 armies they're going to move. The first army they're going to move is the Sauron units with the Nazgul leader. They're going to move here to Laemden, and they are going to move a vast majority of their troops, but not all of them, I don't think, because we don't want to leave Pelargir completely undefended as the Sauron player, because that then means the Gondor people could just steamroll right down and take them, but they'd have to use movement dice to do it. No, we can't do that. We can't do that. We're going to have to leave 2 here just to shore up. So that moves in 2 elites and 5 regular units on the doorstep of Dol Amroth. Still, is that going to be enough? I don't think so. I think the Men of Gondor are doing a fine job for defense. We still have 1 more army movement somewhere on the board. Let's find out where it is. No big surprise. This giant 10 army units here are going to move in with the 2 Nazgul. We've got 1 elite, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 regulars. So we're going to move in 1 elite and 4 regulars, or 3 regulars, sorry, to make a total of 4 units moving into the Osgiliath region, taking that army now back to a total of 10, leaving 6 units there. So we have 2 elites, 2 Nazgul, 6 regulars right on the doorstep of Minas Tirith. So yes, the third movie scene is set. The trebuchets are being loaded with rubble. The war is about to begin for the White City. Maybe, because now we're back to the Free People's player. They have one character die left. I don't know what they're going to do with it. One lowly die. I really, really want to move the Fellowship closer to Mordor. But if they get caught, that is going to be very, very bad. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to use the character die to move any and or all companions that have been separated from the Fellowship. So we can basically move Gandalf, Merry, and Pippin on the board up to a number of spaces equal to their character levels. That's what we're going to do with our character die. So that means, unfortunately, we didn't move the ring at all this turn. So I'm going to take the little token off the hunt box. So I remember that for the beginning of the next turn. All right, let's get moving Gandalf, Merry, and Pippin. All right, so we have Gandalf and Pippin here in the Duradin Forest. Drawden Forest? Ooh, yes, I'm butchering it. But we're going to have Pippin here is going to move into Minas Tirith. And Gandalf is the level 3 character. He can move 3 spaces. He is going to move all the way back to Helm's Deep. 1, 2, 3. He does not trust Saruman, who has turned and joined forces with Sauron. So he's going to try and shore up Rohan, if and when, you know what's going to happen, Rohan gets attacked by Saruman and his Uruk-hai. All right, back to the Shadow player. They've got 2 dice left. Don't know what they're going to do. We'll find out here in a second. And the forces of Shadow wish they had a couple more dice, but they didn't because they went into the hunt allocation box, 3 of them, and the Fellowship didn't move. So we have 2 dice left for the Shadow player. We have Army Muster die, or we have the character die. And we, the Shadow player, is going to do an attack. Yes, indeed, they will. They are going to use the Army Muster die as an army die to move one army and attack with it. So we're going to find out just where they're going to do that. And in fact, the Shadow Army is going to attack the stronghold at Lorien. Here it comes. Lorien right now has 1 elite, 1 leader, and 2 regular units in the stronghold in Lorien. And the Shadow player has 2 Nazgul, 1 elite, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 regular units, 2 of which are Saruman's Uruk-hai. And that's going to be important because we get to playing cards now. So we're going to take a look at our Free People's cards, or I will offline here. Shadow player is going to play a card. We have to find out if we can even play a card, and I don't think we can. Okay, as you can see, there's no Fellowship Free People's card to play. We cannot play any. We have Daring Defiance, which is only played if we have a companion in the battle, and the other one is if we have Strider, Slash, and or Aragorn in the battle, and that's not happening. But the Shadow player is playing a card. They are playing Devilry of Orthanc against, of course, Lorien. It says, play if an Isengard army unit is in the battle and the defending army is in a stronghold. That is exactly what is happening right now. Add 1 to all dice on your combat roll. Now let's keep in mind it's the combat roll, not the leader rerolls. They have a strength of 5. So normally to attack a stronghold, and this is every single time, not just the first round of combat, you must roll a 6 to score a hit against a stronghold. This time, because of Devilry of Orthanc, we only need to roll a 5 or a 6. Likewise, the Elven army inside the stronghold is going to hit on a 5 or 6. They have 3 units in there. We have 5, so let's get out the dice tray and roll this battle. Oh boy. Alright, here we are with the besieged Lorien. We have 5 dice for the shadow player. They're going to hit on a 5 or 6 because of the devilry of our thank. Let's see if Saruman's black powder can turn the tide here. 3 dice for the elven units defending the stronghold. All hits for this first combat roll are going to be on a 5 or a 6. Alright, let's see what we get. Give a good shake, and out comes... well, only 1 hit for the Shadow Army, 1 hit for the Elves. The rest are misses. Now, we do have 1 reroll for the Elves, so they have 1 leader, and they hit. Oh, wow, good stuff. And we have 2 rerolls for the Shadow Player, because they have 2 Nazgul, and they need 6s, though, and they get a 5 and a 3. Wow, that didn't go quite as planned for the shadow player. So we're going to take 2 hits against the shadow player, 1 hit against the elves. Alright, so that card didn't do quite what the Sauron player wanted. They're going to take 2 hits for the shadow player. They're going to get rid of the 2 Uruk-hai since they failed. They ran in with their gunpowder, blew themselves up against the trees in Lorien to pretty much little effect. So they're going back to the reinforcements for Saruman. Now we have to do 1 hit for the elves, and of course they're tucked away neatly in their stronghold. So let's take a look at them and decide how we want to take their 1 hit. Alright, and so this is the Lorien stronghold. They are going to downgrade their leader, which is going to be out of the game, and they're downgrading it to a regular, which is nice, which means they're still going to be rolling 3 dice in the stronghold, and they have 1 leader reroll, keeping in mind that the only way for the battle to continue against a stronghold is if the shadow forces downgrade an elite to a regular, then they can attack again. So that's something the shadow player needs to decide, and we'll find out if they're going to do that. And the shadow player has decided not to downgrade their elite, but leave it as is. So that's the attack on the besieged Lorien, and they're going to end the battle there. So the first attack against the besieged Lorien only did 1 hit. Not enough to crush the elves as they had wished. All right. We're back to the shadow player. They have 1 die left. It's a character die, and we'll see what they want to do with it. 1 die remaining for the shadow player. Character die. They are going to move, are going to attack with an army that has a leader. Let's find out where that's going to be happening. And it's going to be happening right here. Dol Amroth, worth 2 points, is going to be attacked by the shadow player, the Mumakal, and the 5 regular led by a Nazgul. So what's going to happen here? We can play cards. We as the free people already know we do not have any cards to play. The Sauron player wouldn't know that though in a game, so you just kind of look at your cards. You simultaneously decide to play a card or not. I do believe that's how it works. Or if one side decides to play a card and the other side can say okay, but you can't say I'm not playing a card and then the other player says I am playing a card, and then you come back and go, oh, I think I will play a card. Once you declare you're not playing a card for battle, you can't go back on your words. So you're either playing a card or you're not. And if you say you're not, you can't all of a sudden play one if the other player does, if you follow the logic there. All right, the Sauron player is not playing a card, and the free peoples were not playing a card, so it's just a straight up battle. Now this is a stronghold settlement. We need to roll a 6 for the Sauron player to score a hit. We only need a 5 or 6 for the men of Gondor to score a hit. So let's get out the dice tray and we're going to roll up that battle. Alright, let the Battle of Dol Amroth begin. 5 dice for the shadow player. They need 6s though. 4 dice for the free peoples. We only need 5s and 6s. We both have 1 reroll. Let's see what happens. Ooh, lots of carnage. We have 2 hits for the shadow player, 1 hit for the free peoples. The free peoples get 1 reroll, and so does the shadow player. So the free people reroll falls off the dice tray, and we're going to reroll that. And they roll a 3. So they miss. Shadow player, 1 die to reroll. They roll a 3. So that's it for that battle. We have, that is nasty, nasty business. We have 2 hits against the free peoples, 1 hit against the shadow army. So let's go to the board and do that. Okay, it's removing casualties time. Oh boy, we have unfortunately 2 units of the Men of Gondor, never to be seen again, crushed by the southern units. And we only had 1 hit against the southern units. They're going to take one of their Mumakil. Are they? No, they're not. They're just going to remove a regular unit. I thought they were going to downgrade one of their elites to a regular, but they've decided not to. They've also decided to press the attack. They are not going to stop. They are going to continue attacking Dol Amroth. And you know what? The men of Gondor are thinking, you know what? We've had enough. They are retreating into the stronghold. 2 regulars, 1 leader, retreat into the stronghold, Dol Amroth, and the forces of Sauron and his southern army march into the region. They haven't taken it over. They now have Dol Amroth under siege. And we're going to place one of these tokens here on Lamden to signify that the shadow player has taken over that location. I suppose I should place it as well on here at Pelargar, because they've also taken that city. So basically we need to know that so that we cannot recruit units in here for Gondor, because they have been taken over. That's the end of that battle. And we have no more dice for free people, no more dice for the shadow player, which means we are going to be starting up another turn. So I'm going to check the time on my clock here, my timer, for this episode, and see if we're going to do part of the next turn or call it an episode for today. Okay, as I suspected, we're pretty much at the 20-minute mark, so I'm going to leave it off for today. So, lots of stuff happening. Dol Amroth is now under siege. Lorien is still under siege. A massive battle is about to happen around Minas Tirith. It hasn't happened yet. Same as Saruman just sitting there playing cards with his Uruk-hai, I guess. He's not, hasn't marched them to war yet either. And that's where it sits. We have now Gandalf and Merry are in Helm's Deep. And we have Pippin moved in with the Men of Gondor at Minas Tirith. Wow, lots going on. And unfortunately, I really wanted to keep the ring moving. Hasn't moved this turn. And that's always bad news, because the longer the ring doesn't move, the longer the shadow armies, the more time they have to recruit and crush the free peoples of Middle-earth. Keeping in mind, of course, that when we destroy units of the free peoples, they are out of the game. They do not come back. So eventually, the Sauron player would win a war of attrition, because they have unlimited supply of reinforcements. Even though, I mean, we could hold off for 20 turns, possibly, but eventually we're going to run out of units, and they would just be able to overrun us. So we do need to get the ring moving. We're not going to win a military victory, I don't think. We just don't have enough units to do it as free people. So ultimately we got to get the ring to Mordor. We got to get it into the Cracks of Doom. We got to destroy it to win the game. So thanks so much for watching along. Thanks for your comments, subscriptions, likes. As always, very much appreciated. This is War of the Rings 2nd Edition. I'm doing a complete playthrough, which is kind of insane, but such an enjoyable, awesome 2-player game. I thought I would do it here on my channel. So thanks so much. I'll see you in the next episode.